Hey there, Vikings fans who are listening to the Purple People podcast. My name is Kyle West. I am accompanied by Adam Carlson.
I am here.
We got Kyle Smith.
What's up, Viking fans?
We are ready to discuss this loss to the Green Bay Packers so we can get over it and
Why do you gotta say it like that?
move on. Because this is therapeutic. This is our therapeutic show.
No, this isn't therapy.
Yeah.
This is anger management after that game.
We're all gonna goose fraba on, we're all gonna hug, and it's gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But welcome everyone to episode number 179 of the Purple People podcast. This one's titled The Green Kyle.
Hey.
Sure.
We have two Kyles with us. We got a Mr. Kyle Rudolph, who had a pretty solid game. Had a lot of green and yardage, to get my drift.
Touchdown. A TD.
But vintage Kyle Rudolph on that touchdown catch.
Before we start talking too much about the game, let's talk about the quick hits.
Adam's favorite.
At the podcast, we like to talk about keeping it classy. We like to honor the levels of competition and try to be as upstanding as we can be. Which is why when I see things like Vikings fans putting an Aaron Rodgers jersey on a drone, setting it on fire and flying it around, it just frustrates me because, come on guys, we're better than that, aren't we?
I think so. It doesn't sound very safe to have burning things on a drone, flying presumably by people.
No, it's not safe. It's not classy. I don't like it, guys.
Kind of bad timing. Everything else going on in the world to be flying, burning drone things around.
And what are they trying to say? Aaron Rodgers is on fire? What's the message?
I'm not gonna lie. I'll be very honest. I laughed about it, but it's like one of those things where you have to. It's kind of like being a parent with your kid when they mess up and they do something, but it's funny. Laugh about it behind closed doors all you want, but we certainly wouldn't want to go to Green Bay in a couple of weeks and see them burning a Teddy Bridgewater jersey. I would be infuriated. So
no, I wouldn't like that one bit. So
you got to play devil's advocate here. I totally agree with you.
Wouldn't like it one bit. Still frustrated about that. Anyway, I got to calm down from that because that actually got me riled up pretty good before the game. Then the game came on and it got even worse. But we did get some good news.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL draft might be coming to Minnesota, Commissioner Roger Goodell said. Now, Minnesota has gone on record as saying that they are going to evaluate the draft and see if it's something they're interested in bringing in. And when I read that statement, I was like, what? Why wouldn't you want the draft?
Yeah, how much of an evaluation process do they really need to have?
This is a stupid question, but I'm okay. I'll take the fall for that. I'm assuming they would have the draft at the stadium, correct?
Correct.
Perfect. See, this is great publicity. You're already putting in a bid and won one for the Super Bowl in a couple of years. Like you said, why would you not bring the NFL around? Why would you not bring in that publicity?
The amount of money that would bring into the community, it'd have national attention for the new stadium, which is going to be absolutely gorgeous. It already looks great.
Mm-hmm. It'd be really fun, and it'd give all us Vikings fans a chance to attend the draft as well, too. Like, I would totally be down to go and, spend a couple days up in Minnesota and boo every time the Green Bay Packers make a draft selection.
Well, if you watched the draft that they had in Chicago, they had atriums outside all set up with big screens.
Yes.
So the people that weren't in the stadium could still have a part of it, and everybody could just partake and have a great time, grill out there, just do their thing. And the Vikings are putting a screen outside other than the one that's on the side of the building.
Mm-hmm. Multiple outdoor screens.
But this one is going to be a large screen that's a sail on a ship that's going to be outside the stadium, and this thing looks amazing.
It's very cool. It mimics the one that's outside Winter Park. Their current headquarters, they kind of have a ship thing that sits out there that everyone really likes, so the owners kind of decided that they wanted to mimic that feel for outside the new stadium. And like you said, Adam, they turned the sail into a screen that's going to have a projector that they can show, or not a projector, I think it's actually a video board, right?
Yeah, it's going to have, they're going to show some game clips. They're going to show advertisements, which will bring the stadium in some money,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't know if you guys know this, but having that stadium making money is good for everybody involved.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we have to watch DraftKings commercials over and over and over. It happens. And in case you guys are wondering why we're kind of laughing about that, I went on a pretty good rant about DraftKings commercials before we went on the air, so...
Mm-hmm.
He loves them almost as much as he loves quick hits.
Oh, it's something. It is something. But I'm excited about that big ship, and underneath the ship is going to have a bunch of the Vikings legacy bricks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you sign up for one of those, they're going to have them inside the atrium. They're going to be on the ship. I really hope that when you do get approved for one and they put it in, they tell you where it's at. Or at least give you a hint. Be like, it's near a boat. Like, okay, I can look near a boat.
Yeah, my assumption for that a long time ago was that it was going to be scattered across or in one big section of the stadium. But now it's going to be on something cool outside. That's even better. You don't have to actually attend a game to actually go up and see your brick if you want to take a picture. Like, I got to take a picture next to the Metrodome a couple of years ago when I was there. It was really awesome. So that's a really cool feature.
Right, go up there with a piece of paper and some chalk. You can rub your brick and have a nice little keepsake too. Pretty fun stuff.
Just don't take a crowbar to the new stadium and try to pry it out or anything. We don't want you doing that.
No, we aren't Deadspin. We don't break into stadium and break stuff. That's not our thing. But the new stadium is now over 80% complete. I got that message in an email a couple days ago, and things are coming along real nice. They're installing some of the features on the inside. They're already working on the technology with the boards and installing the devices and the handrails for the Wi-Fi. This thing is going to be amazing.
Isn't it cool that it's like 80% done and they're still adding new things to it?
The Wilts aren't afraid to throw money at an
Mm-hmm.
investment.
Yeah,
They are real estate people. They know we can make more money doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll do it.
It's only going to take 5 years to a decade for them to make the money back on that. And I guarantee that stadium is going to be there for a very long time, especially with it not being the deflatable, inflatable, whatever balloon roof that we used to have. So it's awesome. And I love, like you said, I love the fact that they aren't going to stop with just the plan. You know, that to me sounds like an organization, the higher ups there, who are open to good ideas, and that's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And wait till they pack the place with concerts for One Direction, Justin Bieber, or whoever else is big these days. I don't know.
The Biebs.
I don't even know who the popular musicians are these days.
I am really super excited back to the stadium is to have an actual home field advantage because while it's been fun playing outdoors at TCF, it seems like I'm just kind of going to guess there's a lot of Vikings fans who maybe don't want to sit in the cold. Because I'm hearing a lot of Packers fans this week that were chanting and not a lot of Vikings fans, so I don't know if you guys don't want to sit out in the cold or what, but it just really hasn't felt like home, especially last Sunday. So
I admit I scheduled my trip to TCF Bank Stadium when the weather was warmer.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely did it on purpose. We got 2 quick hits about Teddy Bridgewater. And both of them are pretty interesting. Let's start with his new television commercial. Have you guys seen this thing?
We have.
I haven't.
I have because you sent it to me, and I think it's hilarious, and I think it's cool that he got some national publicity, or will be getting some.
Yeah, it's a new commercial for Pepsi. It's a guy watching the Vikings game in a Buffalo Wild Wings. Teddy's throwing a pass, and then he seems to come out of the screen and drink some Pepsi and take a selfie with the guy, and then it's a weird commercial. It's shorter than you'd expect it to be, but it's still pretty cool. I mean, I like seeing Teddy in commercials, and I think I still believe the sky's the limit on this kid. So to me, it's really cool to see him in a commercial on a national scale. I mean, a lot of local stuff. I'm sure there's commercials around here with, Hy-Vee, which I don't even really still know what that is, with Stephon Diggs or something.
Just a grocery store, Adam.
Well, I was going to say, I'm going to go just a tad bit more in depth there to explain it to everybody. The guy's watching a Vikings game in the commercial, and like I said, Adam said it's only like 15 seconds, so it's not really long. But he appears to throw a pass or whatever, and then he runs off the screen, and then magically he's running straight into B-dubs next to the guy that was watching it. So I get the idea, but just I don't know. It's funny to see our little shy says all the right things quarterback come in and say that because I want to see the kid get loose, and it seems that makes me feel like he's got a sense of humor and he's a cool kid, which I've heard nothing but good things. But
And don't forget about him taking the nice big swig of Pepsi.
He's just so damn nice, you know. It's nice to see him break loose a little bit in a small way.
Now, Greg Schiano thinks pretty highly of Teddy Bridgewater.
I love this.
He has called the quarterback a young Joe Montana, which we all know Joe Montana is arguably the best quarterback ever to play the game.
I think he is. But I think it's a weird statement. I don't know. I don't know if I like it. I don't really like Greg Schiano that much, so I'm kind of whatever. I'm like, okay, that's a good high praise.
Kind of back it up. It's a great article. I believe it's over on the CBS website if you want to look it up, or just go to Google Greg Schiano, Teddy Bridgewater, Joe Montana. Type in any combination of those words, and I bet you'll get it.
It was very interesting. It was very random. I didn't know that he didn't have a job. I figured he'd get a coordinator job, but yeah, like you said, he compares him to Joe in the way where maybe he's not the most athletic dude in the world. Maybe he doesn't have the biggest, arm. But he can do just enough with his legs. That was my favorite part about it. It was very accurate. But you know what my favorite part about this was? It pissed everyone off on the internet. And I was so happy about that. God forbid he doesn't put up these gaudy numbers like a Derek Carr throughout of these, seasons, because I'm sorry, but prime example now, my little soapbox here in the beginning, you could put up fantastic numbers and be on a horrible team and suck and not win. Look at Phillip Rivers this season. Love the guy, great quarterback. His team is awful. And all those touchdowns and all those numbers don't really add up because everybody wants to win. So that's why I love it, and that's why I love the comparison. But like I said, this pissed off literally everyone that saw this on the internet. The comments out there are horrible. So if you take up for Teddy like I do not go read this stuff on Twitter or on Facebook because it will get you angry.
The problem is that a lot of these fans commenting on it are thinking that Schiano means Joe Montana in his prime, just the amazing Joe Montana. And that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about the raw Joe Montana, the developing Joe Montana, the one that struggled through a lot of his early play. So it actually, as far as Greg Schiano saying this, well, it's a cool comparison. It's not really that positive of a compliment when you break it down.
It is kind of a funny comparison in one respect because, everyone always knocks Teddy Bridgewater for having skinny ankles, and Joe Montana also had the real skinny ankles and lower body like that too. So,
the ankles.
Yeah.
Skinny knees, gloves, I tell you, it's all of it.
Weird knocks for Teddy. I feel like
we got to finish these quick hits.
Okay.
We're dragging them way too long.
Yeah,
Adrian Peterson won the FedEx Ground Player of the Week. It was going to happen. He won it.
Yeah, whatever. We don't really. Whatever.
For his performance against Oakland, 203 yards, touchdown, 80-yard run. It was pretty unanimous because everybody else just. And that's the thing. We'll get to it this week too. He is so far ahead of everybody. He had a crappy week this week, and he still leads the league. Mm-hmm. So there's that for the ground performance player of the week.
Pretty astounding. All right, so now we're into talking about the game, which I don't want to talk about, but we'll talk about anyway.
Oh my gosh! If you don't want to talk about it, I have 30,000 opinions on this.
All right, so let's start with our game ball and our donkey. My game ball is going to go to someone that none of you expect. I haven't gotten to do this in a while.
We're giving it
the squirrel. The squirrel.
Because I think he was the only offensive lineman that did his job. Joe Berger. I love giving him the game ball. I love it. Not only did he have the best Pro Football Focus score from the game, but he did hold his own when everybody else around him seemed to be crumbling. It was absolutely amazing watching it. You know, the next best offensive lineman was T.J. Clemmings.
BJ, yep.
Amazing. I mean, I could have gone with several other options. There were, in my opinion, a couple other players that really stepped up, but I'm sure they'll get covered. So have at it, guys.
Kyle, you go right ahead.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go with Kyle Rudolph. This was the kind of, we've been on him all season for really needing to step up, especially after last week where he had the drop touchdown. He came out this week, he had 6 receptions for 106 yards and one touchdown, exactly, career high. We don't expect him to have these kind of gaudy numbers every week, but I do like seeing him get more involved with the passing game. Seeing him get in the red zone, which is where I feel that they should be utilizing him more. You know, he's a big-bodied guy. He should get way more targets in the red zone. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it to him for, finally becoming a big part of this offense after having, a really kind of a down couple weeks before.
Earmuffs, Mr. West. Kyle Rudolph also won the Bridgestone Performance of the Week.
Okay. Oh, free tires.
No.
I love it. Well, I'm going to shift. Might not be the most popular one, but you know what? Teddy Bridgewater, the only thing that I have for you is to get rid of the damn football. But if no one's open, this is why I love this kid. He keeps the stupid interceptions to a minimum. Teddy Bridgewater gets my game ball this week, and I'll use Mike Zimmer's reasoning as to why. The offensive line was crap this week. Everybody but, like you said, Joe Berger. They got worked. They got outplayed, and they got out-hustled. And Teddy took a lot of hits and got pressured a lot. He made some plays. He didn't throw any picks. He had more yards than Aaron Rodgers, and he had a better overall QBR than Aaron Rodgers. And that's crazy because we lost the game, which is
he played efficient football, got rid of the ball, high
not a
completion
game
percentage.
manager, and I love that. He keeps getting typecast as a game manager. Mike Zimmer, and I'll shut up after this. I'll give my donkey. He said, you guys have been waiting for Teddy to get a 250-yard game. Well, he got one. Yay. My favorite quote of the week. You want
Teddy
this guy
Bridgewater
to throw the ball.
has this ability. I don't know what it is. When he gets knocked around, there's a fire in him.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw it all the way back to when he took that hit from Bostic back when he used to plays college ball. When he gets beat up a little bit, he responds very well.
Yeah, that reminds me of the old-time comparison, Gus Frerotte.
Yeah.
Seriously. And Gus Frerotte would come out there and you get that first big hit on him, then all of a sudden he'd just click it in and go.
On the flip side to that, my donkey this week is staying on the offensive line. Joe Berger did great. Matt Khalil was getting work. And it was hard to watch. And not only that, we're going to talk about this here shortly. Matt alone, I can think of 3 different penalties he got himself. We were trashed this week. We deserve to lose because we beat ourselves. We are very capable, and I promise you we are not going to play this way come week 17. Zimmer won't have it. But we started penalties, and Matt had 3 of them. He was getting worked by whoever the DN was or Clay Matthews coming around. So I'm sorry, your number one job is to protect my quarterback, and he was getting beat up the whole game. So I have to give
Matt
it to somebody.
Khalil was playing injured. Keep that in mind. But the problem is, if a player is injured enough that it messes with either his ability to physically do his job or it mentally hurts him enough to where he screws up and makes very dumb decisions, he shouldn't be in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I almost gave my donkey to Rick Spielman for not having enough depth on the offensive line. The reason why I didn't is because we have had some injuries on it, and we do have backups who have had to step in, but I really do think that they could have done a much better job of getting a backup for Matt Khalil. I was not a fan of what they did in the offseason, bringing in someone, Babatunde Ayagbusi, a guy who was never going to make the team, never,
He was just a camp body.
yeah, and hardly even a camp body, and they never really did a good job of bringing in depth. But ultimately, the injuries, whatever, it is a little tough to kind of go there. So I'm going to give it to Adrian Peterson. He had 13 attempts for 45 yards. I don't care about the touchdown. It was the fumble that gets him my donkey for this week, because that was the point in the game where I feel like if the Vikings would have went down and scored, they could have...
We would have had a chance.
Yes, we would have had a chance. He fumbled at the worst time possible, and honestly, that cost us the game.
He nearly lost that fumble through the back of the end zone, too.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that,
on the touchdown.
He
did.
Leads the league in fumbles, and it's beginning to be an issue because he's at 6. I think the next closest person has 4. I'm glad that you're getting so many yards and you found the end zone again, but keep that up, and I promise you won't get as many reps. I don't care who you are.
All right, so Pro Football Focus had the worst players as Matt Khalil, the absolute worst. Brandon Fusco second. Mike Harris third. Which I love Mike Harris, but he got worked. Those stunts were just absolutely screwing with him. Number 4, Mike Wallace.
Yep.
Number 5 is my donkey, Zach Line. What is your function if you're not out there blocking? I'm all for having a fullback that can block to open up spots in the run game, that can pick up blitzers. Line didn't do much of any of that.
Hey, Adam.
And I'm tired of picking on him about it. I am.
I know what Kyle was going to say.
Do it.
Hey, Adam, how nice would it be to have Jerome Felton right now?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you 100%.
I do not. That's another thing. I love what Spielman's done with this team. I think overall he's done a pretty good job. But there are some baffling decisions that he has made.
They thought Zach Line was ready, and they didn't want to pay him that kind of money anymore. So.
And they completely...
They whiffed on that one. Right now it looks like they whiffed.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of time for Line to improve and get better and prove that he's a very suitable fullback, but right now he is not that guy.
Yeah, at the expense of our quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, and at the expense of Adrian having games where he only gets 45 yards.
Now, to be fair for Adrian, I know we're picking on him. I'm 100% on the fumbles. He only got 13 attempts.
Mm-hmm.
How many times is nobody's going to listen to me because I'm no one in the world. How many times am I going to say it on the show to feed the monster when he's hungry? I love our passing game. I love that Teddy had no picks. I wish that a certain somebody that wears number 11 would catch the ball and actually run with it. But, Adrian, the fumbling issue aside, you got to give this dude the freaking ball. I can't understand. That's what we said it all. Oh, we got to find our identity. He is our identity.
That's a neat little noise.
That's my phone.
Right. Not sure what that was.
I had a text.
Nice.
Forgot to put it on silent.
It's all good.
All right, so let's talk about Mike Wallace for a second. I know that we're going to talk about him in a little bit, but these stats have been absolutely horrible. Against the Raiders, he was targeted twice, caught 1 ball. Against the Rams, he was targeted 6 times, caught 1. Against the Packers, targeted 6 times, caught 1. This ain't working.
Nope.
Be very surprised if they give him a second shot next year.
We'll be talking a lot more about that because that was our makeshift social media question of the week.
Yeah.
But it's just frustrating to see that. We talked about Teddy Bridgewater, his performance this week, how I personally felt he did a great job standing in the face of pressure. Bridgewater had the most pressure in his face this week in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus. And he still managed to have a quarterback rating of over 100.
Did you guys catch the segment on NFL Network where they had all the Hall of Famers out there, and they were, Dion and Michael Irvin and Marshall Faulk, they were talking about the team? Did you guys catch that?
No.
Basically, what Marshall Faulk said is he didn't really understand why they didn't come out, throwing the ball to set up the run for Adrian, and then Michael Irvin had a really good comment is that Essentially, they don't have the receivers right now in Minnesota to come out throwing the ball.
With what Minnesota has invested for receivers, it's
Mhm.
absolutely disgusting that they can't rely on them.
Mhm. I think, here's my bold statement, other than a couple obvious guys like Stephon Diggs, you're going to see a really high turnover rate in this receiving group for next season.
Very possible.
Mhm.
I agree.
It's just
But
really
receivers,
frustrating.
since we're on the subject, saw a little action from Jarius Wright. I know Adam Thielen was targeted, or Thielen, sorry. Thielen was targeted. Kyle Rudolph had the game of his freaking career, which sucks because we didn't win. I know we're going to get the special teams, but I think what I want to address, if you guys will shift that way just for a minute, because my mind goes to receivers, goes to Patterson, goes to special teams, but ultimately it falls back to freaking penalties.
Mhm.
Oh my God, can we talk about the penalties?
You still think of Patterson as a wide receiver?
I've made this argument on the internet plenty of times, and every time he gets close to running one back, everybody's like, "Well, he's got to stay on your team." Why? No, penalties. Holy crap, we had at least, I think it was 12 or 13, over 100 yards worth of penalties. Like I said earlier, when you shoot yourself in the foot, don't expect to win a race. And that is exactly what we did. And you know what the worst part about it is? I had faith that with the home crowd and us being on this win streak, I'm not going to lie to you, the home game, I kind of just already penciled in as a win. We lost to them by a field goal last year. And now we have totally hurt ourselves come week 17 having to go to Green Bay, because I promise you, that's going to be for the division. And it's not going to be pretty now that we've set ourselves up with that. But these penalties absolutely murdered us, and I think that's the number one reason why we lost this game.
Yeah, the
Your
Vikings
thoughts?
had 8 penalties accepted against them for 110 yards.
Oh.
Time of possession split almost down the middle. First downs, Green Bay 19, Minnesota 19, not different.
It's an
Total yards,
uncharacteristic.
Green Bay 320, Minnesota 342. Total plays, Green Bay 70, Minnesota 62. This game was balanced. The scoreboard was not.
Mm-hmm. And the penalty thing is honestly uncharacteristic of what we've seen from this team so far this season. You know that?
It's true the Vikings still lead the league as far as fewest penalties, but the 8 accepted penalties against them, against Green Bay, certainly didn't help that cause. That's for sure.
I still
You
say
just can't. The field position was a battle in itself, which we can march down the field. We have the pieces, but when you're starting out 1st and 20, and here it comes, 2nd and 16, 3rd and long, 3rd and forever, how in the world are you going to bounce back from that? And then,
All right, I got to take a little break to rant about something for a second.
Go for it.
All right, when this game started up, when the season even started, now I'm a big Teddy Bridgewater supporter. I think he's going to develop into something really special, and I think he's there for the long haul. Minnesota declared him the starter, no problem. And during this game, when we saw Teddy Bridgewater land and have a Packer player land on his shoulder, and he had to exit the game, Sean Hill came in, and I like Sean Hill too. I think he's a very capable quarterback. But I thought that when Sean Hill would come in a game, I'd be like, okay, we got a capable guy in here that can do some passing. And instead, my mind was like, oh no, we're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why did my mind make that jump? Why am I no longer satisfied with Sean Hill being the backup quarterback? Where did I make this change in my head? Is it my heart overruling my brain? What's going on? Do you guys get a sinking feeling when that happens? Do you have faith in Sean Hill to step in and do what's necessary? How do you guys feel about this?
Not against a great team. I think against a bad team, he could maybe do enough to win. I think the other day I was watching the game, and I will never say anything negative about her, but my wife does know a good amount about football. I don't think she knows as much as I do, but she straight looked and she threw her hat. She was like, well, we can leave whenever you want. This when Teddy went down with a apparent shoulder injury, but he ended up coming back. And I don't know. I haven't heard anybody say anything good, and especially reading online. Opinions are opinions, but it's kind of been the same way. I think you're just, no offense, Adam, I think you're one of the last people to get on board with that.
I very well could be. But it's hard because I did not think I was going to feel that way. Sometimes just actually experiencing it happening just makes a click for you. And I don't know what it was, but I was like, oh, we're done. Wait a minute, why am I... Wait, no. But I still feel that way. Son of a biscuit.
He had that one really good outing in preseason that I think kind of convinced a lot of us as to, oh, maybe, you know what, maybe we can rely on him. And then when it came to, the game where Teddy got knocked out and he had to come in relief for him there at the end, there was just nothing positive that came from that performance. And so you just kind of think, at least I do anyway, that if he does come in, it's basically over.
Unless you have a convincing lead and the defense
Mhm.
is just playing out of their mind that day. Funny thing for you fans that are listening to us whenever this comes out, we had a nice little talk beforehand. Colin Kaepernick's time is pretty much all but done in San Francisco. Should we lobby to get him to be the backup? That should be a great. We should put that as a social media question one time.
I wouldn't mind it.
There you go. That was an interesting take because there's going to be some quarterbacks shuffling and some coaches being fired at the end of this year. So.
Okay, Adam, I'm putting you on the spot. You too, Kyle Smith.
Okay.
Would you guys rather have Sean Hill for a backup or Christian Ponder? Because honestly, I would take Ponder.
I'd take Ponder only because of his how young he is and his mobility. Because I'm afraid if Sean Hill gets knocked down, he's not going to get up. And then we're going to – who's our third-string quarterback? Taylor Heinicke still out there?
He's inactive on game day, though.
Yeah, so the emergency quarterback would be, what, Jerick McKinnon?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
A.K.A. Adrian and Matt Asiata are going to get about 50 carries. So
Yep.
Just permanent wildcat formation from that point.
Yeah, no.
Offense.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
I'd call Ponder back. And the question is to that, too, he was under a Bill Musgrave simplified offense, and he was not very good at that. Can he handle a Norv Turner offense? Would it make him better? That's a very, very interesting question.
Honestly,
well, when you see him bouncing on the league, unable to hold down a third quarterback job, it really makes you wonder what's going on with him and if he really has his heart set in football anymore. So, I don't know. To me, if it was a Christian Ponder who's ready to play, is determined, would accept a role as a backup and all that kind of stuff, maybe. But I don't know. I don't think he's the same player as we saw when he was a starter for the Vikings anymore. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Right.
It's a big old question mark. Stephon Diggs had 6 catches for 66. Wright, 4 catches for 50. Red Ellison getting involved, 2 for 19. Running backs, Peterson, 2 for 16. McKinnon, 2 for 15. Asiata, 1 for 9. Michael Pruitt, 1 for 8. There's Zach Line, 1 catch, 7 yards. He did it.
Fantasy.
And Mike Wallace, 2 targets, no catches.
I hate Mike Wallace so much at this point. Don't you guys? I mean, we'll save it for another segment, but it's just frustrating.
That's yours. Would you rather have Mike Wallace in there right now, or would you rather give Cordero a shot? That's another good one.
I can answer that. Honestly, what difference does it make?
That's a good question.
I think Cordero will get you 1 catch for 9 yards. I think that's the difference.
Yeah. Just so frustrating.
We're just crapping on this team right now. Let's turn this around and make it nice. Good God.
Well, there isn't much positive to do when we flip over to the other side of the ball either.
Yeah, how about Blair
Linval
Walsh?
Joseph didn't have his dominating performance like usual. We did have the return of Eric Kendricks, who played at a high level. 7 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, so that's a positive. Otherwise, not a whole lot truly exceptional. Everson Griffin had 2 hits on the quarterback to add with his 1 sack, 2 tackles for a loss, 1 pass defended. Everson Griffin out there doing what I thought was a pretty decent job, but apparently I'm not very correct about that because the people on social media in my article on the Viking Age did not feel like he did a very good job. So, but that's how it goes. Football is a game of opinions. People can watch different plays and absorb different things. So that to me is part of the fun stuff about football.
I think Andrew Sendejo had another one of those games where he proves that he should be a backup / rotational
Yeah.
player. He's just really getting kind of burnt and missing. There was Eddie Lacy had that one run that Sendejo
Well,
was up in there and he misses the tackle and it ends up going for 20
I think
something.
every member of the Vikings missed several tackles on Eddie Lacy.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
And by-
unreal because every other team that's played them this year has shut him down so much that he went to the number 2 spot.
Yeah. He's a tank. He's an absolute tank, and trying to bring him down. Vikings media made fun of him all week. Ha ha, fat boy. Well, that fat boy just plowed right over the Vikings defense.
Sure did, and had more yards on the day than Adrian did.
I hate to say it, a little bit of karma, because we did it too. A lot of Vikings fans were very cocky going into this game, and you didn't hear much from Packers media, Packer fans.
Yep.
And we got burnt big time.
You notice I did not predict a win for this game.
Mm-hmm. It's very
Right.
true.
I also hated the idea of the Beat Green Bay shirts.
I like the Beat Green Bay t-shirts, but you should still buy mine, because it's cool.
Now, for a fan, sure.
Hmm?
For the team to put out for the game, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, do you think that they're going to be on Wednesday when the team shows back up? Are there going to be Beat Atlanta Falcons shirts in every locker? No. No, there's not. And why? Why not? Because there should be. If you're going to do it for one, you should do it for all. Next week, 1 week
Exactly.
ahead. That's all you do.
You know what that was though. I see the idea behind it. I don't know if it was Zimmer's idea or not. That's a hip new thing to do. Talk trash, t-shirts, everybody loves it. It's a younger mentality thing to do, but I think that's totally out of Mike Zimmer's realm and out of his
I was
bubble.
very surprised he did that.
Yeah, that's very, very out of the style that he has.
It reminded me more of something that you would have seen like a Mike Tice led Minnesota Vikings do, right? Because Mike Tice was a very players coach and they were very loose, very cocky underneath him. And yeah, you're right, just not very characteristic of what you would think from Mike Zimmer.
I think you were saying it, but we were finishing up the defensive stuff. As far as the special teams, Blair missed an extra point, which I don't know what the hell is going on with that kid this year. And then Cordero Patterson finally shows a little spark.
Oh my God!
And then headbutts the freaking kicker. Now, granted, that's gonna get me. That's gonna get me on my rant tonight. That's what my rant tonight's gonna get, and I'll get there in a minute. But holy crap, what are you doing? Why?
If you want the ticket out of Minnesota, that's a great way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. I say this all the time because it irritates me, and I get fired up when our guys make plays. But when you get up from doing something awesome on the football field, you did your job. When you make a tackle and you're a defensive player, congratulations, you did your job.
Mm-hmm.
When you catch a ball as a wide receiver, congratulations, you did your job. I don't understand. Yes, you ran back for 52 yards. You did your job. You're not even in as a receiver. Don't get cocky, and you're losing. For God's sake, what are you thinking? And then you got to negate it, and you got to bring it back 15 yards. Like
he doesn't get it.
No, he doesn't.
He does not get it. Yeah.
So
and
frustrating to see
it's
that.
annoying because we all wanted to be really, really big Cordero Patterson fans. We all wanted to get behind this guy, and I don't know, can't explain it. He just doesn't get it. He doesn't get it, guys. Gotta move on from him. Gotta be done after this year.
I did not give any love to Jeff Locke. I do not have his stats because I never look up the punter stats, but we still love you if somebody wants to cover that. But yes, Blair.
He still averaged over 40 yards a punt. He had one that was 48, so
pretty
solid. He had a few that should have been downed near the end zone, but the coverage team wasn't able to get down there, so I'm not upset with the punting.
I don't feel like you can ever give your punter a game ball, so we'll give him a participation award. How about that?
I don't know. If he ever has a game here where he can pin the team inside like the 10-yard line 2 or 3 times, he'll get my game ball.
Do you think they'd ever run like a fake play with Jeff Locke where he
hope not.
Gets a direct snap where he runs with the football or something?
Oh God.
I've never seen Jeff Locke run with the football, so I don't know. I don't know if he can.
It
I'm
catch
going
him.
to err on the side of caution and say absolutely not.
Did you guys notice they actually had, and I think it was one of the kick? It was a punt formation. They actually had Adam Thielen lined up in a position where he could get a direct snap and actually run with it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Trust me, they are setting stuff up with some of the formations and looks they're giving.
I noticed that. I seen him lined up right there. I honestly thought they were going to fake it. And I don't know, maybe that was one of those things where they had like a fake built in where if they get a certain look, they could go for it. But I could totally see it.
At the beginning of the game, the Vikings did something that I hadn't seen from them all this season. They were slanting. They were running slants.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, 3 quarters, no more slants. What happened? Slants are one of the best plays to get rid of the ball with pressure. You can get immediate separation. You can deliver the ball fast. You can get yards after the catch, and the Vikings have those speedy wide receivers that can be elusive and just get yards after the catch. And I don't get it.
You know what you can also do with slants? Not get your quarterback knocked out every single play.
Yeah, because the 7-step drops are not working with this offensive line right now, so.
I mean, when I play Madden, I'm slanting all the time.
Yeah, me
because
too.
it's so easy. It's a quick play, gets the ball out there, it'll get the defense mad, then you run it right up the gut on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that NFL is very different from Madden, but I do know that a great way to get that pressure to let up and cover the middle of the field a little bit better in coverage is to throw some passes there, get rid of the ball fast, and just change things up, do what the defense isn't expecting. Because those stunts that Green Bay was taking, they took a little while to run through. I mean, to go back around another player and then run through, and there's time to get a quick pass off, but just so frustrating watching those final 3 quarters because it seemed like they went away from what was working.
Hey guys, what happened to Charles Johnson?
Solid question.
Legitimate, like, what happened to Charles Johnson? Is he hurt? And are they just keeping him active for decoy purposes? Like, I don't understand what happened with him.
He's had a couple big catches. The emergence of Diggs and what they're spending on Mike Wallace has forced them to be starters. So
wouldn't you think that Mike Zimmer would just be the kind of coach to be like, F it, I don't care what we're spending, we're not getting production, let's change things up?
I think if he makes it to an NFC Championship game or a Super Bowl, he will have that pull. I don't think he has that pull just yet.
He should.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll jump in. We'll skip the talk about the Falcons for now because we're going super long, and we all know that the Atlanta Falcons have Julio Jones and have a lot of rushing touchdowns on the year with Devonta Freeman, who's questionable for the game. And, all that kind of stuff. We know what to expect from them. We faced them last year. It's not that different of a team from then. So, social media question of the week, we asked you guys, is it time for Mike Wallace to be benched? He only has 28 receptions, 318 yards, and 1 touchdown for the season. We got some pretty interesting results. Daniel Whitford says that he was open on that deep ball, and there have been plenty of times the play's called, Wallace is open, but Teddy's putting it in the wrong spot, or Wallace doesn't make the catch. We got McCoy Mark Ubia saying Mike is used as a decoy. Dave Hickey, a regular commenter for us, says, yep, maybe that'll light a fire under his, and I will say, but. Adam Thielen doesn't drop anything that's catchable. Bench Wallace.
I agree with that.
Justin Morrow says, Teddy has missed him on 3 touchdowns this season, all on deep shots. It isn't Wallace when he's being overthrown by 7 yards. Although the one yesterday was a little closer. Shane Isaac says, yeah, he should be our 6th wide receiver. He's honestly played worse than Cordero Patterson. I'd say go with Diggs, Johnson, Wright, and Thielen. Danny Yang says, time to bench Wallace and bring out Charles Johnson, number 12.
Mm-hmm.
We have 21 more comments on this. A lot of people very passionate and very opinionated about the situation with Mike Wallace and wanting to see more from Charles Johnson. And a lot of people using the 4-letter word B-U-S-T to describe him being brought in to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. He's earned that title. I mean, hate to say it, but It is what it is, and he's not getting it done.
Now, we know Adrian Peterson didn't have a very big performance last week, but we still want to ask you, do you think Adrian Peterson will break 2,000 yards rushing this season? That'll be posted up on the Facebook and Twitter pages, and we will get your answers and read those back next week.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the Yahoo Survival League, which is really heating up. We had another player eliminated. Gophers Pride eliminated this week. Sorry about that, Gophers Pride. We got 3 teams remaining. All 3, Bleeds Purple, Bridge Over Troubled Water, and Eric 19 all have 2 strikes. Not only could this be a tiebreaker where everybody keeps playing, there's also a chance that a winner could be named next week. So this is a very exciting time in that league. Big congratulations to the final 3 on making it this far, and good luck to them, because I am really excited to be able to get them a Minnesota Vikings jersey.
Probably won't be a Mike Wallace jersey.
You never know.
Gonna be my guess.
You never know.
So the Atlanta Falcons this Sunday.
That's the game coming up.
I'm really hoping that Devontae Freeman is out.
He has been a touchdown machine this year.
Because it's one thing when you got to deal with Julio Jones. I think you can sort of contain him like Calvin Johnson back in the day. But those two together, then let me say my little piece on this, because this is all I've got, because we're talking forever and I don't want to hype up the other team. Don't forget that Dan Quinn, the old D coordinator for Seattle, that helped win them a Super Bowl 2 years ago, is their head coach. You want to talk about another Mike Zimmer type coach to come in and just completely fire up a defense and motivate everybody? That's Dan Quinn, everybody. So I expect this to be a knockdown, drag out. If I could steal a JR catchphrase, a slobber knocker of a game.
They're going to stomp a mud hole on each other.
Stomping mud holes.
You want to know the absolute scariest thing about this game, though? The Atlanta Falcons are the number 1 team against the run in the NFL this year, allowing only 87.4 yards per game.
That's when I say touche. We'll see how you do this Sunday. I could see Adrian having a game where he gets 150 yards. That's not my bold statement, by the way. Don't quote me on that.
And this is an Atlanta Falcons team that recently has just been absolutely horrible in past years when it comes to the run. And then when you look at the passing game, Atlanta ain't that bad either. They're 18th against the pass. So this is a defense that is very sneaky good with an offense that's very explosive. This is a big test, guys. A big test on the road.
The worst part about it is we are currently the 5th seed, or 5th seed in the playoff system right now. So as it stands exactly today on Tuesday, the 24th, we would play the Giants, and the winner of that game would go to Carolina for the divisional round. If we lose to Atlanta, we've already lost to Green Bay. We lose to Atlanta, we're going to be fighting for that 6th seed spot. So got to start thinking. I know it's a week-to-week thing, but these are, because of that loss to Green Bay, these are definitely these games where you cannot give them away. You cannot just go out and do what you did Sunday with Green Bay, because this is going to hurt you. And we don't have exactly the easiest road ahead of us coming up these next 6 games.
But you can't say give away like this is the Vikings game to do that. This is going to be a lot tougher of a game than that. So I like the optimism to saying that, you know, this Vikings team is talented enough to go in there and try to take care of business. But this is by no means going to be an easy game.
Nope.
And that is, I believe, all I have for this week. If you guys have anything else you want to add in.
I'll do my bold statement. I was getting on the penalties earlier. Leads me to a trio round robin of things for my bold statement of the week. So take them as you will. Primetime games with the Minnesota Vikings absolutely 1,000% piss me off. And as much attention as we got winning 5 games against teams that were 500 or less, fantastic. It makes your record look nice. It's not about beating bad teams. It's about beating good teams. And let me rephrase this, or refresh everybody's memory. When you get to the playoffs, there isn't a 1 o'clock game that nobody's going to watch. These are all national big games. Another reminder, we haven't won a playoff game since 2009, and our quarterback was Brett Favre. So we have got to figure it the hell out with these primetime games. I don't know what the funk is. It's not going to take just one. I think we have one more. Isn't the Arizona game a primetime game?
Yes, Arizona's Thursday Night Football.
That's going to be a hard one. I do not expect to win that game. I'm sorry. Hate me in advance, but that's a very, very, very tough team, and we're going on the road. But you have got to win these games on the road. But let me have the two-part rant this week. The penalties. Although we shot ourselves in the foot, and that's the reason, in my opinion, why we lost, can I just say, did anybody else watch that game and think that they favored the hell out of the Packers? Because it really, really irritates me to watch Teddy Bridgewater get annihilated and get a face mask that was not called and was blatantly obvious. And Aaron Rodgers gets pushed and immediately he didn't have a flag. He threw his hat at Linval Joseph. I'm really, really irritated with these refs. And I understand that I'm not a referee. I'm not a player. It's way easier said than actually done. But these refs need to be held more accountable. And it's not just, oh, well, you're not going to go ref this coming Sunday. They need to be held to a standard. I think they should be fined. Just like with a recent event with Baltimore, the refs blew a call, and it was widely known. They blew that game, and they cost the Ravens a win. They just did it last night against New England and Buffalo. This referee situation starting to smell a lot like 2 or 3 years ago. Really, really irritating. And I understand that you want to protect the quarterback, but if you're going to do one, if you're going to protect Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, you better be protecting Ryan Fitzpatrick, Geno Smith, Matt Schaub, or whoever's at the bottom of the barrel too, because that fired me up Sunday. Teddy got beat up all day, even though we were playing bad. Aaron Rodgers gets a little shove, and hey, guess what? Unnecessary roughness. I don't like that.
Yep.
But I'm getting off my soapbox. Thank you guys. Good show. Hopefully we can turn it around against the Falcons this week and get back to our winning ways.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have a game that isn't at least as frustrating. I don't mind a loss every now and then. That's going to happen. But frustrating losses have just been bad. With that, I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Remember to check us out on Facebook. Go on Twitter at Purple People Pod. That's where you can find us there. You can check out my work on the Viking Age, on Dead Walking, fansided.com, all that good stuff. KyleWestPhotography.com is a good place to go. You can buy his stuff. And thanks for listening. Remember to stay classy, Minnesota.